Guys, I finally played and beat Mixtape all in one sitting, and I want to talk about it. The big reason this game's in the news lately is because it got a 10 out of 10 on IGN, and that surely spawned a lot of haters on Twitter who are saying the game is not an actual video game. And the reason that is because there's not a lot of interactivity in the game. So, for example, there's scenes, viral clips going online of scenes where people are playing the game, and there's a running scene, and you can hit all the obstacles and still make it past the obstacles. Now, that's okay. There's plenty of my issue with that kind of take is there's plenty of scenes in that game where you have to interact with the media, you have to interact with the game to progress forward, whether it be interacting and looking at objects or doing things like slingshotting things off of a car, throwing rocks into a lake and skipping rocks to hit different things, walking into a Blockbuster drunk and trying to pick out the best movies you can for your friends. There's plenty of interactivity in this game. So I think the narrative that the game is not a video game is completely lost on me. But I can certainly understand why it's not a 10 out of 10 for some people. As I think if you grew up in the 90s and early 2000s as a teenager, you'll definitely resonate with it more than anyone else, right? You'll resonate with it more than someone who's from Gen Z who's on Twitter complaining about the game, and that's okay. I just think we shouldn't parrot our own thoughts that we see on Twitter and just keep parroting those and downing what is otherwise a relatively good game. Certainly not a 10 out of 10. It's about an 8 out of 10 for me, or a 9 out of 10. Due to I did want more interactivity, of course, but I looked at it as a visual novel, and of course, to me, visual novels aren't my favorite. Those games have never been my cup of tea. I've played Danganronpa, which is a visual novel with minimal interaction. I've played What Remains of Edith Finch, Telltale games, and things of that nature, and Disco Elysium, all very visual novel-esque, and all of them didn't resonate with me. The most that did was the Telltale games. And that's okay. And some of the people's argument I've gotten blocked so much on Twitter and TikTok from people who were complaining about the game, because I'm like, what do you, they go, those games have consequences to the choices you make. And I go, do you think this game, that Mixtape, is a choice-based adventure game? Like, where in your brain are you connecting the dots that both of these games are very similar? Because they're not. One's a choice-based adventure game and one's more of a visual novel. While they can still fit within the same niche, they are very different games that cater to different people, and that's okay. But also, let's talk about, like, the consequences in a Telltale game. It's not real. I can make all kinds of different choices, but at the end, I still end up in the same place at the end of the day in the game. I think more akin to a choice-based narrative would be a game like Detroit Become Human. But even then, those games still have the same follow-through beats that you hit in the storyline. So I think comparing the Mixtape to those kind of games is null. And I think not comparing, I think Mixtape is a visual novel. So people complaining about that, they also say the game is funded by a billionaire, Nepo Baby, which is not true. The game is published by Annapurna Interactive, which is a billionaire Nepo Baby owned by a billionaire Nepo Baby, but the game is made by a small team of developers. And Annapurna, if anyone doesn't know, a publisher will basically buy the rights to your game to sell it to you, or to sell it to the audience and market it for you. So the game has eyes on it. It's not just a super small niche indie game, and it gets the proper marketing push. So I think a lot of the arguing on this game is in bad faith. I don't think there's anything interesting coming from it besides what people are just parroting on Twitter. And I judge you to maybe try playing the game or think critically and realize that it's okay if some games aren't for you. Not every game has to be made for you. People loved Borderlands 3, and I hated it because it felt like a false version of what Borderlands used to be, and the writing was just not my thing. But I can respect that it's a game for somebody. I don't like Diablo 4. People love that game in its current update, and I wish I could get into it, but I feel like I'm just mashing buttons when I play that game, and it's not for me. Am I going on Twitter, though, and complaining about how I don't like Diablo 4 and Borderlands 3? Absolutely not. That's some people's favorite game, and that's okay. You know, some people's favorite game is Borderlands 2, and Borderlands 2 is a good game, but to me, I'm like, the writing is just abysmal, and it's okay. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with someone that in the comments like, well, this is my favorite game versus yours, and people are taking it so personal. That Mixtape got a 10 out of 10 on IGN. Secondly, thirdly, I guess, when do we take IGN reviews so critically? Aren't we used to them giving games 7 out of 10s or 5 out of 10s, or judging, like, giving games bad reviews that are actually pretty good, and giving good games bad reviews that are bad games good reviews? Like, to judge IGN as a conglomerate and not as a set of individuals who are making these reviews and writing these reviews, it's always a different person, and sometimes you can tell when it's the same person, but it's usually someone different, and people have different taste, and I judge you to be, I tell you to be okay with that. Not everything needs to be said on the internet, and I get it. You want to write and talk about it and comment on TikToks and comment on Twitter and comment on these YouTube videos about your opinion for the game, and that's okay, but don't parrot thoughts and think critically before making the judgment. There's not much interactivity in this game, and it's like, I'm sitting here having the time of my life while I skateboard down a hill, shoot rocks on this car, and escape cops, and video record my friends doing dumb things at a pool party while listening to incredible music. What do you mean? I interacted with this piece of media and I had a great time. Just because it's not for everyone doesn't mean it has to be for you, and just because it's a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean it has to be for you. I'd love to say I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I judge you or urge you to make the critical, conscious decision before you leave a comment, to think about what you're going to say, and leave a like. Thank you guys. Bye.